Good morning, everyone. It is Monday, December 23rd. Hey, Shadow. And it is 65 degrees right now. It is cooking warm out here. And I just finished up a bunch of Hive frames, some Langstroth deep Hive frames. And now it's time to build another one of these. So I have just gotten back from, I'd have started earlier today because we have beautiful sun. Look at all that big, bright, beautiful sun. I would have started earlier, but I needed to go to the lumber yard, the hardware store, whatever, and pick up some stuff. But before I went, I knew it was going to be warm. So I decided to give my girls a Christmas present. Yes, I did. And boy, do they want it, and aren't they happy. So I sat over here. A feeder, my chicken feeder. And I made some sugar water up for them. Put a little bit of honey in it to get a good smell and all that. And Hive number 2, Hive number 3, and number 4 are all flying, and I'm pretty sure they're all up in here eating. So, I got a start on it. Yeah, number 3's flying. You can see him buzzing around over there. Number 4's flying. And you can hear him. Oh, I just almost got buzzed. All right, folks, so just got back from the store. We had all the... Really? We got all the plants out getting some sun. Tomato needs a little bit more of a stake up. And, hey, Shadow. So, got to dig everything out of the cave. And we'll get going, and I'll show you what we're going to do today. Alright, folks. I am thinking I'm set up here to give you the rundown on this. Let's see. Shadow has her official, yes, I'm talking about you, has her official position, and that's in the shade. But I think I got all the materials laid out here, and pretty sure I've got them all, if I'm thinking correctly, minus one, and I'll get to that in a second. But let's look at what we got. All right, so I've got the materials here for 2 of these Langstroth long hives, as you just saw up there with that one. And they are going to be designed to hold, I think, up to 29 of these frames. And I just finished building these frames yesterday, actually. And you should, if you're a subscriber, you'll know that. If you're not a subscriber, go check out my channel. Go hit the subscribe button and hit the bell notification. Because this is a place you learn things. Learn a lot of stuff around my channel. Anyway, folks, glad you're with me. Let's take a look at what we've got. Like I said, I've got enough materials here for 2 of these hives. One I intend to keep and one I intend to sell because I can. And what we want to do is... only because I did a video on the review and stuff on those when I did them in the summer, and I've had so many comments about, well, what's the dimension on this? Oh, what's I had a lot of questions, and so I want to kind of answer those as I build through these. Now, and mind you, when I build my first 2 of them, which is that one and that one, I learned things, and then I made some adjustments and made that one, and that one is tweaked out just a little bit better than the other 2, and I want to share that in this build right here, because I'm going to do another tweak or 2, and we're going to talk about a few things. So this is your materials. Get a pen and paper, write it down, take notes, because this is the design for, like I said, 2 of these, and you're going to love the cost on this if you can build it yourself. So first off, on this build, I'm doing a few things different. As you can see, I've got 2 pieces of 3/4 OSB. It was tongue and groove. These are leftover from a couple of other projects I did, including building some nuke boxes. Then I got a piece of 1/2 inch, or what was it, 15/16 plywood that I'm going to use for the roof. And you could buy one 4x8 sheet of the same stuff, but the reason this is 3/4 and the reason it's a 2x material over here is because I'm trying to make thicker walls, something a lot more insulated for those girls so that they have a much more cozy winter home. So I'm going with the thicker material on it. You could do 3/4 material for the roof as well. That's your choice. But I've got a 5/16. It's a 4x8 sheet. I'm going to get 2 strips of 1 foot by 4 foot for each side of the roof, and so there's essentially 4 roof panels that'll be in there. And if you were in my video that I just posted and you saw, I've already prepped these boards. There were 3 8-foot 2x12s here, and I've already taken one step to cut these to length and those to length for the long sides and the short sides. And I planed them down on both sides to really kind of clean up all the manufacturing defects and whatnot. And I've taken it down to a width that a thick width that we're going to try and hold and maintain. We're not going to plane them down anymore, but I needed to get them to a width that would work with the frames in that box over there. So cleaned them up. They're ready to go. They're cut to length, and all we got to do is start rabbiting them out, and we'll get to that here in just a minute. But let's look at the rest of the material list. I have 2 treated 2x6s. The only reason I'm saying treated is because you might just set it on the ground and those feet will be touching and in contact with the dirt and absorbing moisture, and you want something to hold. You could paint them and you could do untreated. There's options, but you want 2x6 for this particular build design. What do you think, Shadow? I also have 2 untreated 2x4s, and they're going to make the ledger board or the landing board on the underside there, and a build-up strip for where the hinges go, if you can see that from here. Let's just walk out here. And oh, there's a couple of other material items that I see that I'm not including. So you can see the barrels on the 3 hinges. What I haven't included is I'm going to hand make a couple of doors for them, and that only takes a couple of I don't know, 14, 16 gauge, 18 gauge steel that I used a right angle grinder on. That's a real easy thing. We'll get to that at the end. But you can see, all right, so there's a part of a 2x4 on the bottom. There's a part of a 2x4 across here. And then for the lid, the underframe, there is a parts of a 2x4 there. In order to get everything out of a 2x4, you kind of need 2 for one project because of the stuff that you've got to cut out. So one of these is going to be the little side peak boards, and I'm going to get 4 of them out of one. The other one's going to be the 2 ledger boards and the 2 or the landing boards and the 2 upper strips that I screw on and glue on for strength for those hinges, and you will understand why when we get there. Alright, so got 3 of these barrel hinges for each box. I've got some chain. You can use chain or rope or cable, whatever you. I like this. This is fairly inexpensive. And some wire insect screen to keep the little buggies out, especially the hive beetles and the wax moths. But most important is the hive beetles. And I use this, and yes, some have made comments about, well, the girls will purplize those closed. And yes, they do to an extent to where they're comfortable, but it works pretty well. You're going to need some 1 5/8, some 1 5/8 drywall screws. You'll need some staples to staple this down, and then I've got a big old tub. You won't need that many, mind you. A big old tub of 3-inch wood screws, interior construction screws. Those are the plated ones, and they're meant to hold all the parts and pieces together. So I don't think you're going to see every bit of this today, but in the video you will see it. This is your materials list. Let's talk cost, because if you can do this yourself and you have a little bit of skill set on that thing right there, and you don't have a guinea interrupting you, you could do this pretty quickly, really cheaply. So variations on cost for your sheet OSB or your plywood. Let's just say you went with a 3/4 piece of this really nice plywood for everything. Okay, so maybe $30. Okay, ish, $30 depending upon where you're at in the country for your, thank you for being quiet, where you go to your Lowe's or Home Depot or such. If you went with a full sheet, we're gonna go a little bit full on. All right, so these were a little over $5, about $5.50 for those. These were they were under $3, about $2.80 plus tax. So 3, 6. Let's just round that up with tax to $20. We got $30 for that, and I'm gonna do this conservatively on the high side. There was $7.50 for the 3 boards. That's $21. So we're now at what I say, 20. And I'm getting kind of high here, because California, they'll be way higher. Where I'm at, it's much lower. But all right, so let's say 30 for a sheet, and then close to 20 for those boards. And then 20, it was 21, 22, 23. So I'm about already at near 75 for those, covering that. These cost me only $2 a piece. So 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. The guy at the hardware store just gave me that screen. So no huge cost there. You might have to pay $1 or so for it if you get it cut. The chain was about $4, maybe $3. So we got 12, 3, about $15. So now we're at about 90, and then miscellaneous. The screws. I mean, you're not going to spend that much on screws and staples and stuff. You might have $5 in it if you count it all, just what you use. So we're maybe at 95. The other major cost that we're going to have, and I don't have that material right here, but it is the aluminum for the roofing. If you do aluminum roofing, like I did, which will protect it for a very long time, then I did it different. Those I did 12 feet of 1 foot wide aluminum flashing. So it was like I want to say it was about $1 a foot. That one I did 2 pieces but that were 16 inches wide, and I overlapped them. So this one I put one on one side, one on the other, and then one as a cap piece across the top. And it's about $1. It was about $1 a foot on that. I remember that was being about $12, and this one I wasn't quite that. It depends upon what you get in your store. But let's just round the numbers up. Let's just say $15 plus tax. And like I said, I'm being conservative on the high side. So now we're at about $110 for pretty much everything. And those little doors I talked to you about, you can find scrap metal somewhere that you can cut a little piece out of, or you can figure out some kind. You can even maybe even do it with some wood and stuff. So we're at, oh my goodness, $110 for 2 of these. And so by the time you, divide by 2, that's what, $55. $55 for this. That Langstroth complete hive kit was $140, folks. $140, and it only holds 10 frames. Okay, now let's add the cost of the frames to the. Now it came with frames. Okay, it came with frames. So frames are a little bit of a difference here. So let's do the math on that. So the 10 frames right there, if you had to buy them separately, would cost you about $60. Locally, the Little Giant frames were about $60. Excuse me, $30 for 5 of them, and that's $6 a piece plus tax. And the ones I built in that box over there, I calculated in this last video at 50 cents each. So these 2 hives would not have any frames in them to calculate into the cost, but just for the hive box. So if you took the hive box, and let's just say you took retail cost off of that for the 10 frames, and you took $60 off of that, still $80 for that box underneath of it, and it'll only hold 10 frames. This one should hold about 29 frames, about 28 or 29 frames. And there's one other item that it didn't show here, and that's the cap screws that hold the sheet metal down, and a screw or something that holds the chain together. And that's something that could be different for you. But let's get to work. I've got to do what I'm going to have to do first off is I'm going to have to even up these boards, okay? And what I mean by that is these boards are not the same width from end to end. So before I go putting the rabbets in for the floor and for the frames to sit on and the upper slats, and there I go. See, I just remembered something as I'm sitting here. I'm going to need one more 2x4. One more 2x4 is going to have to come out here. So throw that in. That's only a couple of bucks, but I need to make the cover slats now that I think about it. And there you go. So I'm going to, first thing, let's jump back into this. I know I'm scattered brain, but I'm trying to remember all the pieces and parts, and you'll get them as we go along. We gotta run those on table saw. I'm going to set the saw to even up every one of those boards so they're all the same width. Look, see, the girls are already inspecting my work. Yes, they are. Got one down here somewhere. I love it. I love it. Alright, so we're going to get that done. We're going to get them evened up, and then I'm going to start showing you the dimensions on this for putting in the rabbits and running it on the table saw so that we have the offsets that we need for all these pieces to go together. Let me get that set up, and I'll be back with you in just a sec. Alright, folks, let's see here. Come on. Alright, there we go. What I end up with? Just a hair under 11 1/4, which is fine because I always keep a frame with you so you can check your stuff here. So I've got it kind of marked 1.5 inches here and 1.5 inches there, so that if this was a full 1.5 inches, which is no longer, I would know about where this is going to set. So there's going to be 2 rabbits. It's going to be 2 steps over here, and what we need to do is know that it's going to sit. Frames are going to sit in there just about like, level that out, about like that. And then we'll do a 3/4 inch notch or rabbet on the bottom here, 3/4 inch right here for the flooring. That 3/4 inch OSB to sit on the bottom here. And I'm going to take it out where the bad edge is, and that's fine. You know, so you always clean out the stuff you don't want. and you'll find what you want in the board you're looking for. But there you go. So that's the gist of it. So these are they've all been taken down just under that rooster. 11 3/4. You can see they're all the same. So I went one side, took the straightest side, ran them all through on the fence here, and then when I got done, I bumped the fence over a blade width just to clean up the other edges. And I'm gonna have me some chicken soup. And so these are exactly 21 inches. So I got 4 of them for all 4 sides, and then these are 44 7/8. Now I didn't get them exact the same on all of them. 44 and almost 7/8, and 44 on the nose. I was aiming for 44, and because I had a couple go short, so these two are exactly 44. I'm just pairing them up. They'll be a little different in length. It's okay. Now I need to run the rabbits out for the bottom side. So all these pieces will have a 3/4 by 3/4 run on the bottom edge for the rabbit for that. Okay? We're going to do that first. That'll orientate the boards from bottom to top. I will pick, like I said, the worst side. So like this side's got a chip out right here. I'll do it on that one, and same on those. And once I got that, then I'll know where my bottom's at. And then we'll set it up for the fence. We'll have a blade depth, and I'll get it set here. We'll have a blade depth of 3/4 and a fence offset to the outside of the edge of the blade at 3/4. So when I cut it, it'll go 3/4, 3/4, and I can cut it both ways on the board and not have to move my fence. That'll work for that. So I'll run everything through like that, and I'll get back with you in just a sec. Alrighty. So as you can see, there are the notches cut out on all 8 of those boards, and you end up with for all intents and purposes, a tomato steak, or I don't know. Don't throw them away, folks. You can always find something to do with these steaks. I might find decide to maybe make a briar horse barn again one day. These work perfect for a post and beam briar horse barn. Used to make the bunches of them. Them jokers would sell for $400 or $500 on eBay. Anyway, moving on. So you can see the 3/4 is going to fit in those little notches. Fairly quick and fairly easy. One little setup on the blade. Now it's time to do a double notch on the top side. So we need 2, okay? And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take it and I'm going to go, we got 4 cuts we need to make. We need a 1/2 inch down at 1 inch in. We got a 1 inch down at a 1/2 inch in. We need a 1/2 inch down at 1 inch in, and a 1 inch down. So it's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4 cuts. It's going to take a little bit to set up that, but it's fairly easy. Anybody who's had a little bit of time on the table saw will know how easy it is, but only the sides will get that. The end pieces, the short sides, end pieces, they do not need that because we don't have anything resting on the upper edge over there. So, all right, so let me get that set up. It's going to take me a minute to run it through, and I'll show you what it looks like when it's done. All right, folks, just for you to take a look, you see what it looks like after the first setting. So that's a 1 inch on the fence to the outside edge. Hey, midnight. A 1 inch to the outside edge of the fence, to the outside side of the blade. These girls are getting crazy. and a 1/2 inch depth on the blade. Now I'm going to reverse that. I'm going to make it a 1 inch depth on the blade and a 1/2 inch to the outside from the fence. And then I'll run it through twice, and what I'll end up with is essentially 3 little squares will pop off of this. Shadow, be nice. She got kicked out of the house. We don't want her sleeping all day on a beautiful day like this. And she's like, well, I'm just going to lay here in the shade. Shadow in the shadow. All right, let's get this rocking and rolling. I'll be right back. What? A feeding day is always a buzzy day. Those girls back there, they're still, you turn off the saw and all you hear is, wow, they're doing it. Here, let's make scooch in here. All right, I'm gonna back out. Let them do their thing. Lots of frames, lots of frames. All right, so you got a whole lot of leftover pieces. I got some, could have been cut in half, but they're kind of rectangular. And some squares. And so I got 4 of those, 4 of those, 4 of those, and 4 of those. What could you do with that? Always thinking, what could I do with that? Well, I'll get them put away because I know there will be a project. Wine rack? Would that make a wine rack? Think about it, folks. I always got to think about what can I do with it. So here's what we got. You see that? It's pretty cool. So you see how thin this is right here. And that's why we're going to do a backer piece on here for the hinge, because we need to beef up that meat right there. But we want these 2 ledges inside here, and then we want the thickness of this wood for the insulation effect that it has for our girls. So I've got those together. Are those ready and these ready? So the next step is actually to start doing some assembly of the sides. So I need to get a drill bit that's going to allow me to countersink for my bugle head 3-inch screws and start putting them together. Let me get one put together so you can see it, and I'll pick up with you then. Alright, I got T helping me put the last screws in, and you can see I got the one over there put together, and we're putting the middle screws in on this. 3 on each end. Should do just fine. And this one really did nice. Oh, I'm happy with it. Very happy with it. Very happy. Amazing what you can do if you have just a little bit of skill set. All right. Let's check her for fit. Now, on this one, I'm going to have to tell you, one of the adjustments I made was I went out on this and I added that 1/8 of an inch to the width, which spread it. Now you can see, it ain't going in there. But the idea is, one of the issues I had on the first ones I did was the frames were locking up. Against here, so like that, and they were tight on both ends, and I wanted a little extra room, and I think I got a little bit more than I needed. But see, the girls, they propolize around the ends of these things, and then you need to come in here and dig them out. And what I wanted was them not to be wedged between the 2 sides, and those first 2 I did were. The third one up there that she did mostly isn't. But this gives me a lot more room for the frame. And let's see. You can see I got some room in here for the frame to hang and move around. That's what I like. That's one of the bigger differences. Anyway, all right, so that's this. I got to put 4 more screws in that one over there, and then we're going to get those bottoms screwed on, and then we have 5 sides of a box. The next step, I don't know how long we'll far we'll get. We're getting low on the sun. The next step we'll get legs on, but let me finish the bottoms first, and I will get set up and show you how that works. As soon as I get them shaped and sized, and there you go. Alright, let's take a quick look here. Had a slight boo-boo on my end, and I could have fixed it. It's not that big a deal. I'm going to work around it for the time being. But one of these pieces of... I'm going to have chicken soup, I tell you. One of these pieces I cut a little bit narrower than the other. So this one, when I ripped it off and saved it, I saved it 19 inches. And don't ask me why I did this one at 20. But as you can see, it fits in there a whole lot snugger and better, which is good. And this one has left me with a 1/2 inch on either side, which is not that big a deal, because I cut it and I can get 3 screws on that end and 3 screws on this end. And then what I think I'll do is just do an old-fashioned angled toe screw. Come in at an angle on this. I can still hit the meat of this board with the screw. Not a big deal. I mean, I could fill the gap. The only real significant issue that I see is that, you know, cold air can get up in there. But considering that it would be only a small area that would have a little thin wood on it, I'm not gonna worry about it too much. This one rooster is, for whatever reason, gotten it in him to crow almost 24/7. And in the last 2 weeks, it's gotten to where he crows. He's crowing all night long, and it's not even a full moon. He's just crowing. I mean, it's like, when do you sleep, buddy? And none of the other birds like him. So when he gets to deciding he wants to do his dirty deed with the hens, the turkeys and the guineas will attack him. Like, leave those girls. It's funny as hell. But I don't know. I got 2 roosters. I only need 1, so might have to have rooster soup. Anyway, that's the next step. I'm going to go ahead and screw this board down, even though it may not be exactly the right width. It will still work. And then the next step is going to be taking these 2x6s right here and making some tapered legs with them. And yeah, so there you go. Moving right along. Starting to get low in the sky with the sun, but I feel like I've made some good progress today. Just getting these put together, and who knows, maybe I'll get the legs on. We'll see how it goes. I'm going to get this screwed down, and then we'll see what I can do to get those jokers cut up, and I'll be right back with you. I'm going to show you what I got for a layout on how to do these legs. It's real simple. Bzz, just got buzzed by a bee. Real simple, and God, the girls are everywhere. And so this is how you do it. All right, so you got 2 8-foot boards. Find the middle, mark it. Okay, we're going to cut it here. Get off my head. Girls are everywhere. Then I'm going to come in from here, 6 inches, put a mark. I'm going to come in from here, 6 inches, put a mark. I'm going to connect the dots. There's my taper leg. The length of the leg from here to whatever is going to be what I measure off of those guys over there. Close enough so it'll give me a little squared in. So I'll cut about that much off of it to whatever length I want. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 cuts, and that's it. And then I'll have these. I'm going to do these freehand on the table saw, which means take the fence off and just run them across. I could do it with a skill saw as well, but freehand on the table saw. Let me get that done, and that's probably going to be close to it because the sun's going down. Getting some long shadows, and we'll do the assembly maybe another day. So, all right, hang on. So that's what it looks like with them cut out. Real simple, real quick. The measurement that I pulled off the first ones that I did was 36 inches. And keep in mind, you can adjust that to whatever your height is, as far as a good working height for you. If you're a little shorter in stature, you might bring it down to 32 or something that's at a good place for you height-wise. So I think I'm going to try and get the leg screwed on one. Like I said, I ain't got a whole lot of daylight left. See if I can't try and get the leg screwed on one this evening. If so, what I'll probably do is, tomorrow's supposed to be a pretty good day. Let's see if I can't keep on going. We're not even halfway through this. The box is the easy part. A lot of little details to do with the rest of it. So anyway, why don't we call it good on this half, and hang on. Like I said, it'll probably be one video, but the next half, it'll be a new day for me. 30 seconds later for you. Alright, this is a bit tricky, so I figure I better show you how to do it. I don't think I'm going to get them all on there this evening, but essentially I'm going to take one of these, and I'm not going to be able to do it with one hand, but one of these, alright, let's see if I can scoot this over. So one up underneath it and one up on the side. That's going to get my spacing. This is just how I'm doing it. Oops, let's see if you can see that. I think you can kind of get the idea. I'm using two of them just to block it out. And that gives me a standoff right there. And it's about a 1.5 inch and a 1.5 inch standoff. Square it up. So what that does is it throws the support outside the center of gravity. So it's way out here. So if you look at it, you see that? You see that? That's very important. The reason I did this is an engineering thing. The broader the base, the broader is the stability. So I got a couple in here, and then I'll put 3 more screws in here. It takes a little while to get these set in because of the handling of it, but I figured you probably ought to see how I did that. It's just a block out underneath here and then a block up against it to kind of hold it in place, and they're just scrap blocks, nothing perfect, but there you go. What's the matter, buddy? Midnight wants in. There you go. Alright, I guess we'll catch you tomorrow. We'll see you in a minute. Or tomorrow. Alright, one more clip before the evening's out. Alright, so last leg here. I'm going to get one done, because you can see how flat the sun is behind me. We don't have much time. Alright, so one of the things you want to know is that if you run these screws in, because I planed these boards down, they're not as thick, so a 3-inch screw is going to poke through. And I did that here and here, and I'm going to have to take a grinder to it. And there's a little technique to get around that, and that's to run them in at a bit of an angle. It actually makes for a stronger joint. Hold your ears. Hold your ears, because it's going to go. Turkey loves that. So there you go. Now let's flip her up here. Up, 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 up. There you go. I love it. Toyota. So, you see how we got that 1.5 offset? You just use a 2x4 to block it out like that. It works real good. Now you can see this top thin piece right here is why I need to bulk it out with a little added strip of 2x4 here for the hinges, but we'll get to that. The rest is pretty good. It's looking spectacular, my friends, spectacular. All right, again, this should be it for the night. Maybe? All right. T's working on dinner. I probably ought to quit and go eat. We'll work on it some more tomorrow. Y'all take care, and we'll see you in the morning. It is the next day. And I did make it out here after uploading a quick Merry Christmas video to all of you guys. And back to it. And I just finished up putting the legs on it and doing another feeding this morning since it's so bright. These girls, hey Mittens, these girls are so hungry. I decided to feed them again, and boy, I mean, you can even, the level of the sugar water was up here, and now it's all the way out. In just a couple hours they've drank it. And some of them are fussing with each other a little bit because there's 4 different hives coming in here to feed. You can see those two not happy with each other. Anyway, the majority of them will do just fine, and they're drinking so much sugar that we're basically saying that they're getting drunk because they're so heavy with sugar water they can't fly. So they've been coming out here and finding places to land and then clean themselves up. And every now and then one lands right where I'm getting ready to work. But there you go. Okay, so let's talk about the next step. Bzzz, they're everywhere. Here comes another one. See? They keep coming out here. You gotta clean up. Clean up. You got fat, didn't you? Her abdomen, her little abdomen, you can see is kind of swelled up. Some are even more so. Not her, not so bad. And all right, so what's the next step? Erin, get back to the project. But I love my bees. I love my bees. Get back to the project. All right, so the next step is this. We need to put the landing strip along the bottom, and we got to bulk up the edges here. And let me go over here and show you what it looks like on the other ones. All right, you can see they're really active coming out on the landing strip. That's the board we want to put in, and we want to put one in up here for bulking that up. And let's see, I did one on this side too, so flip this up real quick. Come here. So you can see I added a strip here on this side to give me some more thickness right here, because all I have is that little thin amount you see on the other ones. So I got to add a piece here. I got to add a piece here. Let's close this back down. Oh, and there's 2 things real quick that I did not. Oh, little girl landed right on my finger. There's 2 things here I did not add into the materials list that you may want to add, and that's some weather stripping here to help seal the door, and the foam that I used. I'm not going to include that because not all areas of the country may want or need that. Ow! There we go. Not all areas may want or need that, but those are 2 items. Hang on, let me get that chain out from under here. Doesn't want to close. There we go. Still close. There we go. Snug. Push you down. There. All right. So back to it. All right. So girls are still here. All right. So I think I got a little piece of scrap to kind of give you an idea of what we're doing here. So I'm gonna need a 4-foot portion of this 2x4. And this is kind of a start of what I did on that last project. You see how I bevel off the edges here like this? I'm going to tip that blade on the table saw, and I'm going to just do this. And this is for only one real reason, and that's to allow water to shed out and off of the ledger or the landing strip. You don't necessarily have to do that, but I'm going to. Once I get the 2 edges beveled on a 4-foot section, so that should give me both the landing strip boards for both of these boxes. Then I'm going to have to notch out here in the middle, or actually I'll make a cut. Then I'll rip it in half, and then I'll cut across here once I've got two pieces. You'll see that in just a minute as we go. And then the other half of that 2x4 is going to be used to rip, and I'll get 4 strips out of it for 1, 2, 3, 4 for the tops, to bulk up the tops. And then the other one, once we get going, well, I'll just show you when we get here. Let's work on this. Cut it in half first, and then we'll make our bevels, and I'll show you that when I'm done. Alright, before I rip this in half, thought I'd show you what it looks like, but I'm going to rip it right down in half. But for this cut, it's a 1 1/8, for this cut, there's a 1 1/8 inset, and then when I get this ripped in half, then all I have to do is cut out that piece right there. You'll see in just a second, but 3/4 inch depth on the blade, 1 1/8 over. The 3/4 inch depth has to do with matching your floor level, which is going to be right there. So that'll set the top of that right at where the hole wants to be, that comes out flush with the floor in there. Makes sense? Hope so. I am now done with those strips, and the girls keep inspecting our work. Actually, they're trying to clean themselves off. Look at that. They're just like, clean me off. I got sugar all over me. Alright, so I got these cut, and let's see if I can get you right there. I might have to trim that one just a hair more. Anyway, set you up here. Alright, so I got those two. This one was nice and snug. It's just sitting in there. The little one. Bzzz. That one's a little loose, but that's okay. And then there's that once you're done with it. And it's going to go... get up in there. There we go. I might have to trim this one just a hair too. Let's see. Maybe it'll fit over here. See if I can do that. Nope. Just a hair too long. How did I manage to do that? Alright, well, I'm going to trim them, and I'll get them in here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to pre-drill 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 6 holes for the 1 5/8 screws. I'm going to have to get some. You going to help over here? They're everywhere. I'm going to have to pre-drill, and these I'm going to glue down. So I'm going to get them glued and screwed, and I'll show you what that looks like when I get them on. Alright, there's a few nuances to this I want to go over with you, so you can keep in mind a few things that totally slipped my mind as I was putting these together from the last ones, and that happens. Alright, so you can see instead of 3 screws I did 4, because in the center here we got a hinge that's got to go right here. So I need room to mortise out for right here. And the screws are really only there to hold it to the glue sets, but it works. And, you know, all of this is going to get painted, you know. And you can see where I boo-booed on the first one, and I was screwing it here, here, and here to get it in. This one I was far enough over that I just re-angled it and went into the meat of the board. And let's look at these screws. Because of the rabbets up here on the top, you want to take these and start probably halfway down and then angle it and toe it down. Because, not that I did this time, but last time I remember I was just putting them in and it split out right here by accident. So you need to make sure that they go down there. And again, 4 screws on the side that's going to get the hinges. The side that's going to get the hinges is the side that's going to have the landing board. And the back side can do 3. And this one wanted to bow out a little bit on me, so I threw a couple clamps on it till it dries. But you can do 3 on the back side. But this now provides us with a thicker edge. And of course my Hive inspectors have been giving me the A-OK on everything. See, she's inspecting what I just put in there. Look how fat her abdomen is. Boy, she's loaded with sugar water. Of course, she's got some on her back feet, and she's trying to clean them off too. But all right, so what is the next step? Several things we could do here. I think what we're going to do is let's drill some holes. So we need two axle holes. Uh-oh. Now that I'm thinking about it, guess what? I think I got ahead of myself. Yes, I did. Usually I drill the holes first. That way I can get my jigsaw down in there in order to cut out between the holes. I boo-booed, folks. I boo-booed. I should have done that first. And then we can put some holes in for ventilation holes in the bottom. Those are 10-inch holes. So let me, really having two doorways. So when the hive is only, occupying this half of it, you can keep that one closed. And once the hive gets far enough along in their growth, then you can open up both. And it was mentioned to me in one of the comments in the videos, and let's think about this. Supposing you wanted to split this and do two hives. You can do that. But here's something I'm thinking about. If you were to do that, I would want to move the entrance hole far enough over to this side and far enough over to that side to give them space between their entrances. And then you may even go as far as to paint different colors here so that it helps them separate which hole is which. You can get pretty close like that. And then if you put a divider in here, then what you would want to do is start and build in, because your honey frames would be in the center, and then start here and build in because your honey frames would be in the center. So there's my thoughts. Let me go ahead and get some holes drilled and marked and show you. This is not a really complicated thing. 2-inch hole saw, and I think I'm gonna get a spade bit for those holes. All right, I'll be right back with you. All right, quick look at the holes, and a quick reminder to pay attention to where your screws are at. So I got 2 3/4-inch spade bits, spade holes, and then I used a simple chisel to come in and clean out the middle part. Works well enough. It doesn't have to be perfect. Bees will be happy with it either way. Of course, the ventilation holes, 3. Got 44 inches on the inside, so it's 1, 2, 3 at 11 inches each. But keep in mind where your screws are at, because oh, I found one. Look at that. Which is not a huge deal on my end, because I don't think the bees are going to care about it. Clean all them splinters out. But it tears up your bits. And fortunately, I have that chainsaw chain sharpener, and that little dude worked real well for helping me clean up these edges good. Alright, so yeah, the easy way to do that is just to look ahead, flip that up, and you can see where your screws are. Just measure off of them like I didn't do until I saw it. And I also fixed this before I put that bottom in. Get this one turned up there. That little gaff that I did where I had that gap right up in there, those little extra strips I had just worked perfect to fill them up. So this one right here is the one I think I'm going to keep for myself, because of the little deviations for what I consider the more perfect job. And that's the one I'll probably see what I can do to sell. There's a pretty big bee community around here, and we'll see what we can do to help somebody else really enjoy the you get out of there, little girl. You don't need to be in there. Get out of there. Go down. They're so drunk flying around here from drinking so much sugar water. Alright, so the next step is going to be the tops for these. So I think I'll get this 2x4 and we'll bring it over here, and I'm going to lay out, need both hands to do it, I'm going to lay out 4 pieces that are going to be like the angled side of the frame that go from here to there. And that is a tricky little thing to cut. So it's basically 4 ridges, and that's all this board is going to be. That's why I said I need 3 2x4s, and then we'll have to rip some pieces that goes on top of this, and then one that goes down the middle, and all of those will come out of one 2x4, because you're going to have 1, 2 a ridge piece, and 3 side ridge side, and that can all come out of the one 4-foot section, and the other 4-foot section go to the other one. So it kind of looks like making 2 of these at once is the best way to accommodate the use of your lumber. But that's just me. I like to do lots of them. Anyway, let me get these laid out. Doing all right on daylight. I still got plenty of time here. So let's see how much I can get done. Maybe I can get these frames put together. And then the plywood ripped out. Moving right along. All right, back at the next step. So let's do a quick look at the layout just before I cut it. I've got 1, 2, 3, and 4. I've measured, where's my tape measure here? 22. Hey little girl, they're still all over feeding. Let's see if I can do this one-handed with the phone. I got 22 and almost 5/8. So I'm going to make it 22 1/2. I'm going to go just inside of the width of this with length. So I marked it at 22 1/2, 22 1/2. If you notice, I've also accounted for the width of the blade right there. Then I went in 1 inch in, and I found the center, and I just connected the line. That will be my slope for the roof. So you use the miter saw to cut these in half, and then I'm going to freehand these on the table saw and get those pieces cut out. So let me go ahead and run those out, and I will be back with you momentarily. Alright, there is the 4 angled sides, as you can see. They will sit just like that. And I left the factory rounded edges because it makes it a lot easier to handle the roof or the lid when you open and close it. And we need to get ready to make the long pieces, the pieces that go from here in between these two, right? So I've got 2 pieces cut to length, and now that I think about it, I got to cut them again. Now that I think about it. Alright, so I cut them to be 46 1/2, but that means I need to take off 3 more inches because I need the width of those. So it should be 43 1/2, but that's okay. We'll get it here in just a second. I was more focused on this, and let's see if I can do this for you one-handed and hold the what I need. If I can, will you stand up for me? No, you're not going to. Table saw is not on a flat floor, so what we're going to do is we're going to use that right there. Let's see, to find our angle. It looks like it's just a tad bit too much, and then we can pull this over, and that will set. That'll set the fence is going to get set about 1 inch off the base there. Let's see if I can just roughly show you that. Alright, so I'm going to get it a little snugger, a little bit more accurate than this. The blade needs just a minor adjustment. And, nope, not up and down. Push in. There we go. Oop. And then I got to lock it down here. I think that'll work. Alright, so I think that's it. Now I just got to lock the fence down. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to run either side of this and both of those. And that's going to give me 2 strips that I'm going to have to cut again because I didn't think about taking off the 3 inches for those. And let me run those, and that could give us the sides. The inside remaining piece that's going to be here is a trapezoidal piece, and we are going to figure out how to use that one as the center ridge beam to go from here to here on the inside. All right, let's see what we can do with that. All right, folks. I think we got her. See, every time I do something new, one of the girls has to come and inspect them. Anyway, I got the sides ripped down, as you can see, to length, and they're just kind of sitting here, kind of where they need to be in place. Now, here comes the tricky part. We got to make our trapezoidal piece out of this thing. And that's going to take a little bit of effort. Let me see if I can find a pencil here. Hang on, folks. Alright, so if I'm going to do this, I need to do this on the wide side. So what I'm going to end up doing is, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and knock, see if I can do this corner off. It's hard to do this looking at it. So I'm going to knock that corner off to look like that. The next thing is I got to figure out how to come up with this angle here, and I'm not quite there. I'm trying to think about it, but what I want to do is I want to knock that corner off, and this angle here needs to be the same. Let's see, maybe it is the same, and I'm not looking at it right. Hang on, let me move this around here. Guinea's looking like she wants to be dinner. Let's see if I can't do my math on this. Is that? No, it's not. That's what I thought. Okay, I thought it might be the same as this, but it's not. So told you they're everywhere. So I need to come up with the angle, and I'm not sure how I'm going to do that, but I'm going to come up with the angle so I can knock that off and knock that off. What do you think, little girl? Is it up to your standards? Is it up to your standards? It's kind of interesting that they're all here, but I'm doing a feeding, and back over there they're still buzzing like crazy. All right, so that's, I don't know if you can see it, what I see, but that's what I've got to get out of here in order to run from the peak of here to the peak of that one. And I'm going to go ahead and knock this off, and then I'm going to think through how I'm going to do that, and then I'll let you know here in just a second. Hang on. Alright, folks, I figured out how to do this. First off, there's the profile. Okay, so the first thing was, one, I knew I had the angle already, because the angle is going to be the same simply because it's already set up for that. It's just finding the right edge. And when I was originally looking at it, I was thinking I would run this edge right here flat on the table saw, which means I thought I would have to figure a new way to change that. But in the end, I have this edge right here. So once I flip this around, because I've already cut this edge right here, all I had to do was flip it around and cut this edge right here. Now it left it kind of wonky looking, but if you take and you hold it flat against the fence, it's not going to be flat underneath. You see that? But it's flat against the fence, which means you'll see it's a little wonky. Ooh, can I see that with the camera? A little wonky down in there. You got to be kind of careful about the way you're running it on the top there, because the edge wants to fall down in here, and it's a little tricky to run. Fortunately, I'm running long enough pieces that I can feed, stop, come around and grab it over here, and then draw it out from this side and not have to get my hands around the blade. But it is a tricky cut, and if you're not skilled on it on the table saw, you might want to look at a different way to do that. But that worked. And then again, that's going to go right there to here. I just got to cut it to length. Alright, I'm going to do that. Get these cut to length. And then I'm going to get these assembled. And if I can get that done here in the next few minutes, maybe I'll show you what that looks like before the night's out. If not, probably be the next day or so. Alright, moving on to the next step. Let's get her done. Alright, it is almost 4 o'clock. We're losing the sun. And I got it done. And you can see how the frame goes together for the lid. And we got both of them. That one done over there as well. And this time I actually became Mrs. Clampett, and T did the drilling and screwing. But there you go. See, that gives me a screw edge here and here. And when we go tomorrow, because I'm going to clean up for the night, when we go tomorrow to cut that piece of plywood, this is gonna get glue all around. And I want a good flat surface, and this is gonna tie the ribs together. Works really well. I think that's all for tonight. Like I said, got to get cleaned up on this mess and then go get some dinner. And on these pieces that I got trimmed off from here, remember I say save everything and use everything. When you go to set your hive in a location, you're going to need to level it. And one of the things you want to do is maybe keep the legs out of the dirt so much. So what I did when I put that one in place and that one in place, I took these guys, and first I dug out to roughly get my hive set and leveled, and then I took and I pounded these guys in the ground right where the feet were going to go, and I pounded them so that it'd be a good level. Now what that does for me is it gives a way for water to drain away from the feet, and a good solid piece of wood for it to sit on. Now, you know, years down the road that's going to rot out of the way, but for quite a while anyway, you're going to have a place for your legs to sit on that's going to help keep the legs themselves from rotting away. Just an idea for you. On that note, we will pick up with you tomorrow. Hopefully we will finish this off by getting the all right, good merry Christmas morning to you. Look at that beautiful sun on the panels. There's an old trick for you. When you got sun, you got to do everything. And since we're probably going to go into some cloudy days, one of the issues with running a wood stove, and well, just even in a normal house, things can get kind of dusty, and real hard to pick everything up and clean everything up just to do dusting. So we do it with an air compressor. We open all the windows up and we get the air compressor and we blow it all out and put a fan in the window and try and move the dust through the house and out. It's good to do on a sunny day. So we've gotten all our Christmas calling done, almost all of it. T's talking to her son James. And now it's time for me to do my Christmas presents. You know me, I like to build stuff. And what's better than a Christmas that you get to play with power tools? Anyway, so as you can see, this is where we left off. We have the two lids, the frames of the two lids done. And what I've got to do is calculate an angle right here, from here vertical, this angle right here to go on the board. So when I rip out, it's hard to see in this camera with the bright sun. When I rip out a 12-inch piece to go across here, I want it to kind of meet in the middle. And it takes a little bit of a challenge. I don't know, maybe I could do this with you guys looking. See if we can't figure this out. What I need to put my vertical line right there and grab my speed square and run it down this way, and that is not going to work very well because I don't have it extending down here. It looks like it's somewhere around that 80 something degree mark. Let's see if I can flip this thing up. Let's see what happens. Oops, knocked myself in the noggin. Hold on. Alright, so let's see what happens if that ain't gonna work. How do I want to do this? I really need to flip that thing down. Here, let's see. Maybe that's why it jumped at me. Maybe it says you need to be down with it. I get down with it here. We need to measure that angle, and I want that. I'm gonna eyeball it so that it's perpendicular to that, and then going from that point, looks like it's about 77 degrees. I hear a girl buzzing around my head already. 77 degrees. That should be pretty close. 76. All right, little girl, get off my head. All right. There she is. Get off, get off, get off. Ah, goodness, girl, go get some. All right, a little too, yeah, that one right there, a little too aggressive for me. All right, 77 degrees, so that's what we're going to set the blade. And the blade, let's see, we're going to have to go, thinking about this, let's loosen that up. Sorry to make you dizzy, spinning you around there, but so what's the inverse, or the 90 degrees subtract 77 would be 12, 13, 12 and a half degrees, I believe. And that kind of looks like what we need. Now, I got to do it on the upside down, which means in order to get my distance, I'm going to have to put the fence on this side. Little girl, she's back at me. She's probably telling me to put some more sugar out there. There's about 24 girls flying around over there from yesterday, and we cleaned up. Hey, Mittens, she come to watch it. She'll be gone as soon as I turn this saw on. All right, so let me get these cut out. You see the process. I got 48 inches, and what I've got is I'm going to rip them all out equally. And I've got about 11 1/4, which means about a 3/4 inch overhang here, which is what I want. I want that roof to kind of shed off of it, which is perfect. Just a little overhang, just like that. A lot of overhang. All right, we'll be back with you in just a sec. Alrighty, with T's help, finally got the first lid set and in place. It's a little challenging to get. You're probably going to need a hand. Here, go ahead and hold that up. And there you go. I still got more screws. Oops, still got more screws to put in it, as you can see, but I got it on there. Lay it back down there. And square, flat, true. Same offset here on this side. Same offset. Sits flat and level all the way across. And I think I'm okay with it having been 1/2 inch plywood instead of that 3/4. Alright, folks, I am substantially done. Now, there's still a few other things to do, mind you. T, giggling because she knows she's going to be painting very soon here. I'm going to have to make the little doors for the openings there so that I can close them off when I want to. Good for moving or shutting down to keep from having robbing issues and stuff like that, but you got to have something there to do that. And let's see, I've got to bore these holes here for the vents. Lift that back up. And then I got to put the screens on the holes. And once I get everything painted, now I won't paint the inside, but once I get everything painted, let's see, I will, and I still got to cut the slats, but that's not a big issue. I think you can figure out how to do that. I'm going to use some 2x material, and I'm just going to rip them out so that I got something that's about 1/4 of an inch thick, and the length of it is from the inside. Hello, girl, get out of my face again. She's buzzing around your hand there. Don't move your hand. And the length from here to here. So I'm going to make the slats to go on top. I got to make a divider. The divider's real easy. Get you a piece of OSB or something, and you're going to cut it out, and the dimension is going to be this height, and the width, of course, to fit in here. And then what I did on the other one was take one of these slots and just screw it to the top of the OSB, and it makes a really good one. And I even cut a hole in it with put some screen on the side for venting. Those are easy things. I think y'all can get to that on your own. The main thing is this construction of the box itself. I suspect this video is probably getting a little bit long in the tooth, pun intended. All right, it's Christmas Day, and we're gonna go get us some dinner with some friends here, and I think that's it. We ought to wrap it up here. Like I said, the rest of the little details are easy things. I mean, putting a latch for the hood, I think you can figure that one out fairly easy for whatever you want, whether you want a hasp or a hook latch, and of course painting it is easy. All those are little things. This is the construction part. This is what I got the most questions on was on some of these build dimensions, and I wanted to show you the techniques and such. So there you go, folks. I hope you enjoy. If you're new to my channel, I don't normally say this because I just assume you're going to do it because you love what you see. So if you did like what you see, thumbs up, and subscribe if you haven't already, and then go back into the playlists. I've got lots of projects like this for all kinds of homesteading things. And Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, and we'll be done with this one. Bye-bye now.